Hi, this is Brad Argent from Ancestry. Today I want to take you through Ancestry DNA, and in particular, Ancestry DNA Matches. Now this is where it takes your DNA and it compares it to all the other samples that we have in the database. But it does something else that's really powerful as well. It looks at your tree and compares the tree and the DNA to all the other tree and DNA samples that we have in the database. It's wonderful stuff, can give you really interesting insights into your family tree. Now you might see here, I've linked my DNA to my tree. This is really important. If you do this, it will multiply the value that you get out of taking a DNA test. So let's look at this in detail. So here we have a couple of options. We have here our shared ancestor hints, which are fantastic. Starred matches, these are ones which matches that I've highlighted because I want to go in and have a closer look at them. And fourth cousin or closer matches, right? Now you think, what's fourth cousin? It means you shared about a 3 times great grandparent in common with these people. So in theory, you should be able to find records supporting that. If you dig and deeper and look hard enough, those records should be there. And then you have a button down here that shows you all the matches. So let's look at these one by one. Shared ancestor hints. Now these are the gold in the DNA, if you like. This looks at the DNA and it looks at the tree and it compares the two and says, this is how you two are connected. So not surprisingly, and somewhat of a relief, my mother is the DNA match, and of course she's in my tree. Same about my father's sister here, and my mother's uncle pop up, which is all what I expected. And then we start to get some third cousin matches, and fourth cousin matches, and distant cousin matches. And it's saying you've got a genetic connection with these people, and you also have a family tree connection with these people. So let's dive in and have a look at one of those. So you can see getting quite a bit of information here. Right? Get the person's username, the ability to send them a message and reach out and say, hey, we're connected. We've got DNA circles. And if you like, the best way to think of DNA circles, if you have them, is they're kind of like hints within the DNA process. But the beauty of this part comes down here to where you see your shared ancestor hint in its full detail. So here I've got this connection. This is me, and I'm stepping back through the generations to my link to the common ancestor, and they're stepping out through their generations back to their link to this common ancestor. So they're coming in from Anne, and I'm coming in from Aaron. So wonderful way to not only reconnect with your cousins, but also to put some more meat on the bones of your tree, to fatten out your tree. And of course, if you scroll down further, you can see their tree in all its glory. The shared surnames that we have in both of our trees, all the surnames that they have, all the people going back, I think it goes as far as 7 generations back. And you can see a snapshot of their tree. So wonderful stuff, all from just spitting in a tube and putting a tree online. There's a couple of other bits and pieces you'll notice here. One, you've got shared matches, and they're really important, and I'll show you those in a minute, and maps and locations. And this is really good because it helps you understand where in the world your tree and your matches tree live. So let's have a look at those a little bit closer. Okay, so I've just zoomed in on the tree, and you can see that we have people here in Australia in common, and we have people here in England, that's common. Let's have a look at what that looks like if I zoom in a little bit closer to the UK. Okay, one of the things you'll notice is it's color coded. So these are these orange ones, if you like, down here. These are ones that are in my matches tree. The blue ones are in my tree, and the green ones are in both our trees. And you might notice some of these green ones have got a little shaky leaf on them. That's because they have a hint in them. And when you click on these, what it does is it shows you, here's the hint that we've got. This is the person in my tree, and this is the person in their tree. And so you can actually see not just who's connected to you, but where the connection comes geographically, and also what other information is sitting on Ancestry that you might be able to help you tell more of the story of that person. So wonderful, wonderful process. Now let's have a look at those cousins that aren't shared ancestor hints, that are actually just direct genetic matches. Okay, let's look at these fourth cousins all closer. If I click on this link, I get the same result as clicking on this link. Just see all of the matches and all of them in order. Now I have a lot of fourth cousins, and it's great, but what I want to do is look at somebody who's a little bit more distant. So I'm going to go and click at the second of 65 pages of cousin matches, and I'm going to look down here at the very first distant cousin I've got. Now that's 5th to 8th, so you've got to think that's somewhere between 150 to 225 years ago. I shared a common ancestor genetically with this user here. If you look at the confidence level, it's very high, right? And that means that from a science perspective, they're pretty sure that we have that connection. You've got to remember, because it's science, it's an estimate. It's a really, really good estimate, but it's just an estimate. So let's see what I can find out. They've got no family tree, right? So it's not really going to tell me a lot of information, but let's see what it can tell me. So there's the option for me to invite this person to add their family tree. Now you remember at the start I said you've got to link it to your tree. Maybe they've just taken the test and not linked it to their tree. Maybe they haven't built a tree yet. This might be your way of reaching out and saying, hey, we're connected, build your tree and show me how we're connected. Where it becomes really interesting is I can kind of start to look at where we might be connected by clicking on this shared matches. And when I do that, you'll see I've got other genetic matches in common with this person. So I know straight away they're on my mum's side because they share a genetic match with my mother. They also share genetic matches with these other people that I'm connected with, some of whom have trees, some of whom don't. So at least right now, I know that person is on my mum's side of the tree. So I could reach out to this person and say, hey, we're connected, and we're connected through this line, right? Which is wonderful. And because they don't have a connection with my mother's uncle, I'm pretty sure it's on my mother's father's side of the tree that they're connected. This is why it's really good to test as many people as possible. And I can reach out to them and find out how they're connected. And that could lead to breaking down some brick walls for me, opening up, perhaps even discovering ancestors that I never knew I had. So as you can see, some wonderful, wonderful opportunities exist just from spitting in a tube. Well worth taking the test, and more importantly, well worth testing other people in your family. And if you're going to do that, please test the oldest person in your family first. Capture their DNA while you still can. And then once they've gone, that gift of their DNA will keep giving. Thank you for your time.